TV show Chernobyl has revived interest in the Chernobyl tragedy. If you are interested, all that is related to the explosion at the nuclear power plant, be sure to watch this wonderful product made by HBO. A separate episode was dedicated to the feat of 3 divers, who saved the world from the catastrophe at the cost of their own health. The creators of the series do not hide the fact that they used embellishment and speculation in the creation of the film. Today we will see how everything was in fact. 5 days after the explosion, firefighters managed to localize the source of ignition. At the same time, there was a danger of a new disaster. The reactor continued to melt and burn concrete on its way. There was a pool of water under the reactor. The liquidators understood that if the radioactive fuel got to the water, there would be another explosion with the release of a radioactive cloud, which would cover the cities and countries around the Pripyat. It was impossible to automatically drain the water, the automatics did not work. It was necessary to do it manually. But how to do this, because over the pool raging molten nuclear fuel, which emits radiation. The management understood that they needed volunteers to solve such a terrible problem. Fortunately, they did not have to be found for a long time. Valery Bespalov, an engineer, together with his colleague Alexei Inenko, declared his readiness to return to the destroyed power unit. Boris Baranov, who worked at the nuclear power plant as shift supervisor, also volunteered. The volunteers realized that they would be exposed to extreme radiation in the pool. The daredevils were dressed in rubber suits and masks. Everyone understood that the fatal radiation that rained inside the power unit, this initial protection will not stop. According to the volunteers, there was a lot of darkness inside the tank. Divers were oriented only with the help of a lantern, which suddenly went out on the way to the target. The room plunged into ominous darkness. Fortunately, the divers knew the station and the basinos well, so the last few meters were literally to the touch as they moved along the pipes. The divers reached the gate valves safely. It took them several attempts to open the gates. The underwater expedition coped with the task, and the water came out of the tank with a roar. After the heroes returned, they were immediately taken to the hospital for examination. It was believed that they did not have long to live. The theory of the death of brave volunteers a few days after the operation went to the people. But the Chernobyl divers were not going to die a week or a year later, or decades later. Thus, a heart attack cut off the life of shift leader Boris Baranov in 2005. The engineer Valery Bespalov safely worked at the Chernobyl station until the very retirement. He resigned in 2008. Alexei Inenkov is alive and well. He is the head of the Ukrainian Nuclear Forum. Legendary divers have not received a lethal dose of radioactive radiation. Before the accident, they worked at the nuclear power plant and were qualified to understand the degree of risk. Each member of the mission had 2 dosimeters with them. The volunteers took a route away from the deadly zone. It was a great luck that the cause of the brave man, for the sake of life on Earth, ended so safely. And we, the descendants, who live largely thanks to the bravery of divers, should remember this glorious feat.